Welcome to another episode in an ongoing series where I talk at you for about 5 to 10 minutes about the best settings to use for filmmaking. In this episode, we go over GoPros. Now, the GoPro I'll be specifically talking about is the Hero 5 Session, but these tips will apply to any GoPro. We'll be going over 3 categories for this episode: what settings to use, what accessories to get, and lastly, what situations will get you the best results. So first, let's go through all of the settings. First, you'll want to set your frame rate to what you want it set to. If you want normal speed recording, then 24 FPS is the standard cinematic frame rate, but if you want some slow motion, then 48 FPS, 96 FPS, or even higher is the way to go. Next, you'll want the highest resolution your GoPro supports at your chosen frame rate. In my case, I chose 24 FPS, so I'll go with 4K resolution. Lastly, in the video settings department, you'll generally want the narrowest field of view your GoPro supports at your resolution, unless you want a wider field of view for a particular effect. This will help reduce the fisheye effect that GoPros have, which is generally undesirable. Next, you'll want to enable ProTune. This will increase the bitrate of video recordings, increasing the overall quality. ProTune also gives us access to more settings to dial in the best results possible. You'll want to set your white balance to the lighting you're shooting in. For outdoors, that's 6500K, cooler indoor lighting is about 5500K, and warm indoor lighting is 3000K. Your shutter should generally be half your frame rate, so for 24 FPS that would be 148. Unfortunately, GoPros don't have variable apertures, so you may need to change your shutter to get proper exposure. Your ISO should be as low as possible to get proper exposure. As for color and sharpness settings, first of all, I recommend setting your sharpness to either low or medium. Having the sharpness on high can create undesirable aliasing effects like moire and shimmer. Lower sharpness can get overly soft sometimes, but I prefer it to the digital sharpening effect. For color settings, I'm going to recommend you switch between the flat and the GoPro color profiles depending on what you are shooting. As anyone who watches my channel knows, I don't like the use of flat profiles on low-end cameras like GoPros, and this situation is no exception. Using a flat profile will give you more dynamic range, which is especially helpful on cameras like the GoPro that don't have great dynamic range to begin with. That said, using a flat profile pretty consistently creates color shifts towards red and purple. Those shifts can be corrected with color grading tools, but those corrections take time, so do keep that in mind when shooting. I'd also recommend you don't use the flat profile if you're going to be shooting people, especially close-ups, since the color shifts caused by the flat profile can mess up skin tones in a way that's very difficult to fix without expensive specialized plugins and a lot of time. That's about it for video settings, but do make sure you have your video format set properly for your region. NTSC is used in Japan and North America, and PAL is used basically everywhere else. Now let's get into accessories that are worth picking up. First of all, you'll want all the mounts you'll need to get the GoPro where you want it. I highly recommend picking up a tripod adapter since most mounting equipment uses a 1/4-20 screw. Another handy tool is a filter adapter. For larger GoPros, you can get filters that snap right on, but on session cameras, you'll need a screw-on adapter. I'll link the adapter I use on my Hero 5 Session down below. Most useful are neutral density filters or ND filters. These act like sunglasses for your camera and reduce the amount of light coming in. This is handy when shooting outdoors, especially in direct sunlight, since having a properly set shutter speed can still be far too bright, even with the ISO at 100. ND filters will reduce the light, allowing you to get proper exposure. With accessories out of the way, now it is on to shooting situations. So, to begin with, a GoPro is not really a camera to be used by itself. They work best as secondary cameras for special shots that you can't get any other way. For example, strapping to someone's head, mounting to a car, or putting in tight spaces. The extremely wide fisheye lens creates a particular effect that can be cool in certain shots but isn't really desirable in most shots. If you're going to be shooting a person, it's best to frame their face in the center of the image, that way the face is at least distorted evenly. Lighting is also a very big consideration. For starters, you want lots of light when shooting with a GoPro, as they don't do very well at all in low light. Some of the newest GoPros, like the Hero 6, do a decent job in the dark, but adding more light will drastically improve the image quality. Having soft, diffuse lighting is also a good idea, as GoPros don't handle harsh lighting particularly well. Anyway, that is it for this video. If these tips were helpful, if you learn more about how you can improve the quality of shooting when you're shooting with GoPros, hit that like button. If not, feel free to hit the dislike button. If you have any questions or comments about anything in this video or anything else, feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button.